Good day, everyone. This is Chris Allison, Regional General Manager for the Americas, and I'm excited to bring you this pre-ATE market update for North America. So we're all very excited to come down to ATE this year, and we've got a really strong buyer pool who are really engaged and excited to come down. So just to cover off some high-level dot points on our buyer pool this year. So we have a total of 80 buyers coming down this year from North America, 66 from the United States and 14 from Canada. Of our total 80 buyer pool, 23 of these are first-time buyers, which is amazing. We have 19 first-time buyers from the US and 4 from Canada. And as part of our luxury program within that broader pool of 80, we have 19 luxury buyers, 16 of these from the United States and 3 from Canada. In terms of what type of businesses our buyer pool represents, the predominant base of these are from our wholesale and retail chains. Within the retail environment, we have some of our specialist retail partners coming back, as we always expect to see. And in particular, in the luxury buyer pool, many of our retail buyers are those independent contractors that are attached to our main consortia partners of Virtuoso, Signature, and the Travel Leaders Network. So that's just a quick overview of our delegate pool coming down this year. Before I kick into the insights, I also just wanted to touch on the North America Tourism Australia team. We have some new faces having joined the team in the past 3 to 4 months. Some of these folks you may have met in past before. So I just wanted to quickly highlight, firstly, Sean Lutkenhouse has joined us as our Regional Partnership Manager. Sean heads up the Partnerships and Distributions team. So for those of you that are familiar with Glenn and Liam, our distribution managers, they are part of Sean's team. Sean has been with us since October, very familiar with South Pacific, worked for Air New Zealand for a couple of years in North America and also Virgin Australia for many years as well. So Sean's excited to come down to ATE and reconnect with many of you. We've also had new leads join to head up the marketing and PR teams for North America. Tiffany Rowe has joined us from Virgin Australia, relocating from Australia, joined in January. And Georgia Harmon has joined the team to head up our PR area, also relocating from Australia, having worked in agencies for the last 10 years in Australia and also touched several tourism products and partners as well. So both Sean and Georgia will be down at ATE this year. Georgia joining as part of the media program, so they look forward to meeting many of you. So I'm going to start off now by just giving you a quick overview of how our recovery is going from North America. So if we look at how our arrivals have been trending over the past 12 months, we can see a really positive trajectory here. If we look at the United States, based on the November numbers, we're back to 63% of pre-COVID arrivals. And in Canada, we're back to 76% of pre-COVID arrivals. So we do see Canada recovering quicker than the United States at the moment. This chart isn't updated, but we did get just today the December figures. And for the United States, we see the December numbers at 67% of pre-COVID arrivals, and in Canada at 75%. So really strong momentum there. If we look at the percentage of holiday arrivals, which is what we're most interested in terms of visitation, we can see in the United States, based on the November numbers, we can see holiday arrivals at 45% of total arrivals, which is close to what we were seeing pre-pandemic. And in Canada, they're back to 38% of pre-COVID arrivals from a holiday perspective now as well. One of the other strong indicators we look at in terms of how we expect recovery to return and the overall demand that is out there for Australia at the moment is looking at flight searches to Australia. So we use Skyscanner data to help us with this. And if we look at the Skyscanner data at the end of last year, we can see search volume for Canada having returned to 96% of 2019 levels, and the US back to 89% of pre-COVID levels. So we can see that overall demand profile continuing to increase for Australia based on this search data. And we know there's such a strong correlation between overall search volume and how that translates into ultimate visitation. So this is a really strong indicator for us. One of the other strong enablers and important factors of how we're going to recover as a destination is what's happening in the aviation space. And in markets like the United States, where we rely very heavily on non-stop connectivity as a non-hub market to bring folks between the US and Canada and Australia, this is a really important area for us. So just to cover this off quickly as well. So from a United States perspective, we're now back to 100 non-stop flights a week between the US and Canada. Importantly within this, in the past couple of months, we've also seen 2 new routes added to the network that weren't in existence pre-COVID. So we've seen United Airlines enter the San Francisco to Brisbane market. They're operating 3 times a week. And Qantas back in December also launched new service between Dallas and Melbourne for the first time as well. These services are doing really, really well and providing extra lift between the US and Australia. If we look further out, just to give you a flavour of how things are projecting. So if we look at this month of February, a really strong picture there. So in Canada, we're back to 85% of scheduled seats relative to February 2019. And in the United States, we're seeing continued growth there, up to 76% of pre-COVID seat capacity in February. This is against total international markets at 74%. If we look further out into June, we can see Canada holding at roughly in that 96% to 100% range by June. In the United States, we are going to see some softening there for a variety of reasons. So that will be coming back to 69% of scheduled seats there, and that's against all international markets at 85%. What we don't have here is the picture in terms of how it's projecting at the moment for the rest of this year towards December. For December for the United States, we're looking roughly in the 80 to 85% range at the moment, and in Canada, roughly in that 100% range. So we'll continue to see that capacity build back for the rest of this calendar year as well. Now, in terms of broader insights, just want to touch on 2 or 3 key areas here. So one of the key indicators we look at is intent to travel. So this chart here shows us that the United States and Canadian consumers are some of the least hesitant to travel long haul at the moment. So despite what we're seeing from an economic and consumer spending pressure at the moment, we still see really strong intent and least hesitation to travel long haul from the United States and Canadian markets. We also see strong increases in intent to travel to Australia, both from the United States and Canada. So over the last quarter, we've seen a really strong uptick in intent from both the US and Canada. And this is against a background of all of our competitors here, either flatlining or decreasing over the last quarter too. So this tells us how consumers are actively planning for trips over the next 2 years. The other area that we look at in terms of strong signals of eventual visitation is desirability. So I've just pulled out here specifically for the United States, we've seen a really strong increase in desirability for travel to Australia from the United States over the last quarter, and in particular during the last quarter since we've launched the Come and Say Good Day campaign. So these insights are telling us that we have a strong least hesitation to travel from the United States and Canada. We've had a really strong increase in intent to travel to Australia from the United States and Canada, and we've also had a really strong increase in desirability from the United States as well. So this is what our research is telling us. But we do have some headwinds that are kind of increasing pressure on consumer spending at the moment. But despite these, my feeling is that we do have some cautious optimism in the economy at the moment. So if we look across 3 key areas, inflation. So we do know that in many of our international markets, inflation has been a key topic in consideration. We do expect inflation to soften this year in both the US and Canada. It's projected that by the end of this calendar year in the US, we'll see inflation coming down to around 3%, which is a much more normalized level. And in Canada, we see that coming down to around 4 to 5%. So not as soft there in Canada, but definitely coming down to more regular levels. GDP, so if we look at broader economic growth, the US is expected to be sluggish this year, but it still will be in a growth mode. So we do not expect the US to enter recession this year, which is positive and is important in terms of encouraging broader consumer spending and providing that confidence. So it will be sluggish, but it will be marginal growth at around between 0.5% and 1% this year. And the other signal we look at is broader employment and market. So the employment market is relatively robust at the moment, and we expect the employment rates to hold steady in both the US and Canada. So all of these tell us that I think we can be cautiously optimistic about broader economic impacts, positively or negatively, on overall consumer spending going forward into this year. So I just want to spend a couple of minutes talking overviewing some of the key activities that we've been undertaking, particularly in the last quarter, to continue to drive that consideration for Australia and drive that visitation. So as we all know, we launched the Come and Say Good Day campaign in all of our markets back in October. In the US, we put a lot of focus behind this, getting Ruby out there talking to all of our consumer audiences. In the United States, our activity has had a consumer reach of 24.8 million over the last quarter. That's roughly around 2/3 of our broader high-yielding traveler audience pool in the United States. And in Canada, we've driven a reach of 4.8 million, which is approximately 3/4 of our high-yielding traveler pool in Canada. We've also taken the opportunity with the launch of the campaign to do some really different executions, high impact executions. This is just an example of some of the outdoor activity that we've done both in Los Angeles and New York, supporting the launch phase of the campaign. We've also been in heavy partnership with Qantas as part of our global partnership in 10 international markets. We've just completed partnership campaign activities with Qantas both in the United States and Canada. Here in the United States, we've driven audience reach of 11.2 million, and in Canada, driven an audience reach of 15.2 million. And we'll be continuing with a second wave of activity with Qantas, which is in market in the United States at the moment. We've also been supporting our key distribution partners in the last quarter as well, with some platform activity, driving traffic to our marketplace on australia.com and driving that lead generation and driving that conversion through some of our key wholesale and retail specialist partners. This campaign has been designed to support folks like Down Under Travel in Canada, Go Away, Down Under Travel, About Australia, Swain Destinations, Aspire Down Under, and Down Under Endeavours. Overall, we've seen really strong performance from this campaign over the last quarter. We've seen results around 30% increase on targets. We've also seen 41% growth in passenger numbers over 2019 for the same period, and revenue growth at 32% ahead of 2019 levels for the same period as well. Our Aussie specialist team have been extremely busy as well. I just wanted to call out all of the initiatives that our Aussie specialist team have been doing to continue to keep advisors trained and engaged in Australia. In the US, we have trained just over 4,500 travel advisors over the last 6 months, and in Canada, just under 1,000, which is significant increases in activity in both the US and Canada, and continuing to drive up our qualified Aussie specialist pools in both markets. So that's what we've done so far this year, but we also have a lot of activity coming up for the rest of this year. So I just wanted to highlight that very quickly for you now. In the consumer marketing space, we've just, in the past couple of weeks, launched phase 2 of the Come and Say Good Day brand campaign. The key feature of the phase 2 campaign is we have a lot of focused television buys in our core geographic markets of California, Texas, and New York. We also have some content partnerships launching. So we'll have a content partnership launching with the LA Times across California in March. So that's in conjunction with some of our state and territory partners. And in April, we'll be launching a content partnership with Condé Nast. We've also taken the opportunity with our amazing advertising spots in the past couple of weeks. We did some pre-game advertising in the Super Bowl in our core markets of LA, Dallas, and New York. And just prior to that, we also did some spot buys as part of the Grammys a couple of weeks ago as well. In the PR space, we have a really strong pipeline of media visits over the next 4 to 6 months. So in addition to the delegation that we're bringing as part of the ATE media program, we have 8 hosted media visits over the next 3 to 4 months. We've just had the team from Departures come back. We've got Justin going down from Hemispheres in a couple of weeks, along with several others over the next 6 months as well. And this is in addition to the 12 delegates that we're bringing from the US and Canada as part of the ATE Media Programme. We have a really broad range of partnerships launching in the next 3 to 4 months as well. We have co-op campaigns launching with both United Airlines and Air Canada. In March, we'll have an extensive campaign in partnership with our state and territory teams running with Expedia. And we're also running a KDP co-op program with our distribution partners, whereby we're supporting around 20 key distribution partners across the US and Canada with their own marketing initiatives supporting driving awareness and conversion for Australia. On the event side, as you know, we're coming down to ATE, which is fantastic. We're also leveraging many other partner events over the next 3 to 4 months as well, notably the Travel Leaders National Conference happening in May, as well as the ASTA convention happening in the next couple of months as well. And then lastly, in partnership with our state and territory teams, we're also hosting 5 FAMIL trips over the next 3 to 4 months as well. We have a couple of focused Aussie specialist FAM trips coming down, as well as hosted FAM trips with Virtuoso, Signature and Travel Leaders. All of these FAM trips totaling up to 46 delegates coming down to visit Australia over the next 2 to 3 months. And then lastly, I wanted to highlight that we will be returning North America Australia Marketplace this year. This will be taking place in Los Angeles at the West Drift Hotel, same venue as last year for those of you that were able to come and join us. The dates this year will be August 6th to August 8th. And I wanted to highlight specifically that seller applications will be opening on the 24th of April this year, so right in advance of ATE. So please keep an eye open for that. That concludes my update today. I know there's a Q&A session scheduled, so I will be joining that live. So look forward to answering any questions you have on the back of the update today. But I most look forward to seeing many or all of you at ATE on the Gold Coast next month. Thanks very much, everyone.